What is up, Teach Better family? It's Jeff, and I've got the amazing Katelynn Giordano with me today. Just taking the bar up just a little bit today. But it is 5 o'clock. It is Wednesday, August 4th somehow already. This is your Teach Better Brain Break. We're going to be hanging out for the next hour with shenanigans. We might talk to Katelynn a little bit about what she's doing to prepare for the school year. We'll probably talk about the daily drop-in and how you're on there tomorrow morning. We may or may not talk about Dave Schmittou, and I think we're gonna do some more questions. But we're gonna let you all pick the questions in a sense what we ask Katelynn. So drop in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. What are you taking a break from? If you're drinking something, snacking on something, let us know what's going on there. And if you do have other questions for Katelynn, we've got her for an hour, and she's at our mercy here. So we'll be back in about 60 seconds. Hang out. All right, we're going to cheers right off the bat.
Cheers.
Right up to it. And that is not water.
No, it is not.
As we discussed earlier. That is an adult beverage, and you very, very well earned it. And some people watching might be thinking, oh, well, yeah, because she spent all day in her classroom, and teaching is a very stressful job, which is all true, except for the fact that she was not in her classroom today. Where were you right before this where you had to text me because you're like, I might not make it back in time, even though I've been here for 30 hours?
You guys, I was at the DMV trying to renew my driver's license. It was like, I told Jeff before we came live, like, I don't know what time it is. I don't even know how long
Time means nothing
there.
now.
Time has no meaning anymore. Like, why is it always like that?
It's crazy that it is, but hi, Jillian. Good to see you. Canada's in the house. Alex is here. Looking forward to the shenanigans, which Katelynn said it's going to happen. Alex got to hang out with Dave Schmittou today.
I know, Alex.
So that's awesome. Alex, I am still waiting for the yoga video. I did warn Dave and told him that was his apology to me. That's a long story. Dave just ruined everything yesterday, and so.
Oh, no.
We said that he had to do this yoga video this morning with Alex's teachers that were doing yoga. He didn't really ruin everything. But that's still the terms we came to do that. So Carrie's here. She's got boxed wine. I love it.
I want to know where it's from because I buy boxed wine from Costco so I can cook with it.
Oh, what do you have right now? That's not boxed wine in your cup there. What do you got going on there?
Vodka soda. I put some raspberries in it because I'm fancy.
Oh, you are fancy. I'm not fancy. I did ice. Is that fancy? I got the tall, this is a Dave Schmittou type.
I like your tall glass.
I've got a bourbon drink.
Nice.
And that is I discovered on my recent vacation and I've always been a fan of Knob Creek bourbon. But this is the Knob Creek smoked maple. It's really good. Like, it's so smooth. It's like dangerous. I actually mixed it. So I mixed it. Actually, this is crazy. I actually mixed it with Dr. Pepper today, which is like a really interesting mix that really works well. Normally I would just drink it just with some ice because it's just so smooth. It's crazy. Anyway.
That would probably be really good in a pecan pie, actually. Like a bourbon pecan pie with that. Like a smoky maple bourbon would probably be real good in there.
That's interesting. I just like the idea of a bourbon pie.
Oh my gosh. Have you never had a bourbon pecan pie?
Well, I'm not a huge fan of pecan pie, so I don't think I ever have, but that would make me want to try to like pecan pie more.
So I can send you a recipe or a pie. but I double the bourbon.
Are those my options? You're either going to send me a recipe or a pie? Because if you think I'm taking recipe, I don't know what planet you're on. I'm taking the pie. Send me the pie.
How do you send a pie? I don't know how. If anybody here knows how to send a pie, give me some insight and I will send
I bet
a pie.
there is a company, a store somewhere that you can order a bourbon pecan pie that they ship.
Okay, Jeff, no. Number one, first rule of Brain Break Shenanigans with Katelynn. I cook and bake. You're not getting a store-bought bourbon pecan pie. I'm going to make you one.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry. What I was saying is that like they know how to ship them. So you can ship them. There's safe ways, but I don't want a store bought. Like I want it with Knob Creek. I want it with Knob Creek's smoked maple.
Smoky
bourbon.
Maple, yeah.
It's a really expensive pie at that point. But you can. You can from what was it, Little Mama's Bakery? What was it, Little
Little Mama's Bakery.
It was in Illinois,
Chicago, Illinois.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was sticking to the corporate eating up. I love that Joey comes sit down. He's like, "Oh, what are we eating?" Pulls the fork out of his coat. Oh, friends, how we miss you.
So good.
All right, so you're at the DMV today.
It was.
So that sucks. I'm sorry, but you also told me that you've now been working for 2 days. For 2 days? 2 days now?
2 days.
2 days working, meaning that you're like you've kind of flipped on a switch of like back to school type thinking, right?
Yeah.
When do you actually go back? When do you start back with? When do you have to be in your class, and when do you have students?
Yeah, so I start back the 18th. Yeah, the 18th is our first day back. Kids come the 20th, which is a Friday.
Okay.
So yeah, I told myself this year that I was not going to start working at all until August. So
you did good. You held to that.
I did. I actually wrote myself Post-it notes every time an idea.
I saw that. Yeah, you shared that.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not going to do it. Do not write. Do not work. Just write it down.
So did that work? I mean, obviously it worked where you didn't do it, but are you feeling any additional stress right now? Or are you okay still? And you've just proven that, hey, I don't have to do anything until August. I'm okay.
Yeah, I feel really good. I'm actually really glad that I took that extra time because I feel like a lot of the time in years past when I've started earlier, I just end up giving myself a ton of extra tasks almost to like fill in the extra time.
Is it because you get into work mode, so now you have to fill in that.
Yeah, like, and I don't want to get out of it again. So this year I just told myself, like, you're not going to start. And I don't feel super stressed about it. I actually feel really good.
It's interesting. I actually posted something on Instagram last week about that. I pulled a little bit of a quote from a book called It Doesn't Have to Be Crazy at Work by Jason Fried, and I can't remember his partner's name. The guy's actually created Basecamp, which you're aware of, because what we use as project management for a team. But and one of the things they talked about was like that there's this huge like productivity hacks and all these productivity hacks, and his thing was like productive at what? Like, because unfortunately what typically happens is we get all these productivity hacks and we do all these things, so then we feel like we've got to use these hacks, quote unquote, to fill in all this time. And he's like, more output doesn't necessarily mean anything. Right. And like, there's like, machines can work, productivity or stuff is for machines because they can work 24/7. Humans can't. It was just this interesting thing of like, oh, okay. Like, who cares if you're super productive if you're not productive for the right things? And if you're in that mode and you're like, well, I'm in the mode, I'm putting 4 hours a day into, well, if you don't need to, why should you? Which goes into the whole, when you get into the whole like 4-day work weeks and fewer whatever, and mastery learning versus, but that's a whole, we're not doing that today. So one of the things, so you worked the last 2 days. Today you just went to the DMV, but what have you been working on? Like, where's your mind at now? What are the things that you're like, I got to get done this week versus next week versus the week of? Like, do you have that? Do you break them down that way? I feel like you're someone that would possibly do that.
So I don't typically like break things down by like, this is when I'm going to do all of this, but I priority. I prioritize my tasks, and I typically will do it. Like I keep a paper planner still. So each day, like in the morning, part of like my morning routine is I drink my coffee. I do the New York Times crossword. and then I make my plan for the day. And I like pick the tasks or whatever that I'm going to accomplish or work on for that given day. So this week, my main focus is trying to create a Google site for my families essentially, and for my students to refer to. It's more so geared towards my families, because one of the things I noticed last year was that the information system that we used wasn't super user friendly, and there was a lot of guidance that was needed, and tech support is not what I want to spend my time on. So instead of having that be our thing again, I was like, okay, well, what if I just created like a Google site and then posted everything families needed there?
So it's an alternative route for the information, not a site that explains how to obtain the information from the system.
Right.
Okay. Gotcha.
Exactly. So instead of trying to help people like navigate the other site, it's like, hey, if you need something, if you want to go watch my weekly video update from our social studies or English class, or if you want to view what we're doing right now, or you need access to like the forum that I was talking about, like, there it is. One-stop shop.
Okay. I want to note that you mentioned the New York Times crossword puzzle. My first thought came in my mind, oh, all right, Ted Mosby. So if anybody's a How I Met Your Mother fan, I'm just thinking of that. So what is that? Is that like priority number one right now? What's the let me go back. So you spent probably at least June, July, if not, this might have started in May. I don't know, when you started doing the sticky notes, and because I know you do those all the time. But when you said, hey, I'm not working until at least August, so I'm just everything's gonna get dumped on the sticky notes and stuff. When you started working on this on Monday, what was the first priority, the number one thing that you had to check off? So outside of obviously organizing all those sticky notes.
So benefit of the sticky note and my system is that I have different colors, and I color coordinate them based on like the different kind of task that it is.
Okay.
So they're already organized. So like I know, like if I want to work on like family connection stuff, like I'm going to pick up the blue ones, that kind of things. So it's an interesting system. If I want to work on curriculum, I know I'm grabbing pink. So my first thing is,
hold on, before you go, save that question. I want to dive into the colors. Can you break down the colors? How many colors and what are they?
I only have 3 colors going this year.
Okay,
it's just family,
colors.
curriculum.
Like family meaning like students' families, like your school families, not like your personal life.
Not like my personal life. Like family stuff is blue, and then green is classroom, like logistical stuff, and then pink is curriculum. So that's usually the one that I have the most Post-its for, because it's like ideas for lessons or units. So
classroom is like, I need glue sticks, I need this on the wall, I need to rearrange this way, like.
Exactly. I had this idea for how I wanted my bookshelves to be, and I wrote it down on a Post-it. Or there's this thing that I want to buy, or that I saw that I think I need, and I need to look into it.
Whereas pink is if you were creating a grid or creating the lesson plan, that is the worksheet, whatever that you need to put together, the path, the whatever. And then family is all the communication pieces and all of that.
Yep.
Interesting.
It's an interesting system, but it works.
It makes a lot of sense. It's a great system. I don't know, like you should, if you've never used Trello would work really well for you with that system. But I know that you're a pen and paper gal. What's your planner? Do you use a planner that like has a system built in, like a Michael Hyatt or anything like that, or do you just get just a straight up like journal planner, or what is it?
So my planners all come from Plum Paper. They're my favorite because they're customizable, and they have about 50,000 different layouts that you can do. I did transition to a digital lesson planner, but before I did, I was using their teacher planner as well.
So you customize it like through the order checkout process, and then gotcha.
Exactly. So like you can customize it, like when I was doing the teacher one, for classes, time blocks, everything like that. So I loved that about it. The one that I use personally is also Plum Paper, but it's a different layout because I like to have the big two-sided weeks so that I have enough room to write my to-do list for the day underneath each day. So
Plum Paper, that's plumpaper.com, right?
Yep, it is. It's phenomenal. That's my favorite. I've used a ton of different ones. The reason I like Plum Paper the best is that they're spiral bound, so like you can flip it open all the way. You can customize things. So like I personally add like the fitness pages in the back. so that I can keep track of like my lifting regime. I just started running, so I've been able to keep track of like how my pace is improving and my distance, and all that stuff. So that's what I like, and the paper's like super good quality.
I'm gonna. Someone's asked Alex. I'm gonna drop it in the. I'm in a comment here real quick so you guys can see this. It's plumpaper.com.
And they have really, really cute covers too.
It's in the comment there, so there it is on screen as well. So no B. not like a plumber. Like plum.
Like the fruit.
Is that come from the fruit? Is like to make a paper from the fruit? Is that a thing?
I don't know. Like what?
Or did they just like the fruit? I'm trying to.
I have no idea, but I don't know their story. What I know is I don't even remember how I found this company, but it has been like 6-7 years now that I've been using planners from them, and I won't use any other one.
I'm very interested. So they're in San Diego. They started out making simple note cards and wedding invitations, but it wasn't long before their line of planners and notebooks became the most popular and favorite product. Didn't say anything about why. Come on, guys. I wanted to know why Plum.
Well, let's reach out to them on Twitter.
Handmade from start to finish in San Diego. No, okay. I'm very disappointed in the fact that they don't explain why Plum. Someone find that out for me. If someone can find out and prove, like with like cite your sources on where they got Plum paper from, I will buy you a Plum paper planner.
Y'all should do that. That's like a really, really good deal. You should totally.
You're good to go. I have not looked at how much they cost, so I might regret that. But someone find it, I will get over it.
Make him regret it.
We're gonna spend less than 5 minutes on my next question because Dave and I go here too many times anyway. You're running because I know you've been doing this, so you stuck to it, obviously. Mm-hmm. How are you progressing? Like, where are you at? Where are you going? Are you going to try and are you shooting to do a race, shooting for a certain distance, or just doing it because you decided you want to? Like,
so it started off very much like altruistic, like I just wanted to. Mm-hmm. I was like, I've been lifting for so long, like I need something different. So I decided that I just wanted to start, and now I'm like in love with it. It's amazing.
It's crazy.
Like, it truly is. And the progress that you make is so, like, it's so easy to see, which is cool because you don't really get that with strength training. Like, strength training fluctuates a lot.
It takes a long time to start seeing any notice in weight or like definition and stuff versus
exactly.
I went a mile further this week. Like
exactly. Mm-hmm. And then you hit plateaus all the time in strength training, which can feel super discouraging. And so with running, like one of the things that I love is that you get to see this amazing progress. Like I ran a 5K, not on purpose, like a month ago, and I had never ran that far before. And it was just one of those things where I went out and it was feeling really good. So I just kept going. And then when it was over, I was like, oh my God, I just ran like 3.5 miles.
For those of us and for those United States friends who aren't runners, 5K is 3.1 miles.
Yeah. And it was incredible. So my pace has improved a lot. Like I haven't been really tracking my distance as much as my pace.
You're tracking your pace, not okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm the complete opposite.
I haven't been tracking my distance as much because I tend to get very discouraged that route. And that's what I've learned about myself. So my pace is actually really steadily, which it's slow, but it's really steadily at like 11 minutes right now on my average. And I typically do like two-ish miles when I go out. So I'm doing pretty well. And I'm noticing like a huge change.
How many days a week are you running?
3 or 4.
And you've been doing this for how long now?
3 months.
Oh, Jesus. You could go out and run a 10K without even breaking a sweat at this point.
Right. Like, it's one of those things.
6.2, by the way, American friends.
I'm taking it so slow because one of my biggest things is, like, I have a very big tendency to, like, overdo it really fast. I did that when I first started lifting, and I injured my back really bad. Well, and so I've been really careful.
Focusing on your pace is a great way to not do that because you can – because you're not worried about going a certain distance, like that's where you're really going to hurt yourself. Because if you push your pace, you're going to get tired faster and you feel it right in a moment because you're heavy breathing. Versus if you push the distance, like you might feel fine the whole way, and then 3 hours later is when you're like, oh, I should not have done that, and it's too late at that point, right? Does that make sense? So
yeah,
it's interesting. So I go the other way, but here's the benefit of both sides. If you focus on your pace, and you're not worried about the distance, but you're running consistently 2 miles, 3 miles, whatever, even 1 mile, whatever, but you're always staying the same pace and therefore most likely increasing, your endurance is gonna increase. It's the other way around too. If you increase your distance consistently and your pace stays steady enough, but it isn't even that fast, when you go to a shorter distance and run faster, you're gonna naturally do it because you're gonna be like, oh, I don't have to run 7 today. I'm running 2 or 3, so I can go much faster, right? Like I notice that like when I go out, when I know I'm going for a decent distance, I'm very aware of starting really slow and staying as slow as I can and move it. What I really focus on when it comes to pace is my splits.
Okay,
I want my splits I want my pace to slowly get a little bit faster. What's really cool is when you do, there's certain Nike Run Club. I always do Nike Run Club with Coach Bennett. I love when he changed it up. So like I did 7 a little over 7 on Saturday, and I did a 7-mile run with him. And he does this thing with this particular one where you run the end of the race in the middle of the race at the end.
Oh.
So like from miles 5 to 8, or from 5K to 8K, you're running as if it's the end of your 7-mile run, where you're gonna pick it up and you actually like kick it in, and then you slow way down to as if you're in the middle of that, which where you would be really cautiously going slow. It's really difficult, but it's really cool. But then as you look at your pace, it's kind of this weird thing because you're like it like goes down, but then you're like, oh no, wait, I was supposed to slow down. And then he messes you all up for like the last mile. He's like, okay, if you want to go ahead and go fast, and you're like, oh, but I thought I was going slow. But it's like this really cool thing. Anyway, I love it. We're okay. I think we hit 5. I apologize. We're gonna move on past that.
Highly recommend. You should do it. And if you're a strength trainer, start doing unilateral lower body work. That's what I've been doing, and it's helped a ton.
So something with the strength training, what I will say is like running is so much better / easier, for lack of a better word, when you're doing the strength training. Big thing for me was my knee that took me out for a long time. And as soon as I got back into my strength training, not only straining my core and my upper body, which helps my form, but also getting back to actually strength training on my legs. It's been so much better. So anyway,
it is.
I actually have a 5K race this Saturday. Like I just decided I want to do. I haven't done a race in a long time. This one they're doing a nice job. Very small. It's here in my hometown. It's like just the circular, very flat path, and I'm like, oh, I'll go do a 5K on this. It'll be fun. So
I want to do a 5K this fall. So
I gotta make sure I run at least 11-minute miles. Now that I have that bar.
Yeah, there you go. That's my goal. Is I want to run a 5K this fall, but my birthday was just in July. And so my goal for myself before I turn 30 next July is to run a half marathon. So okay, that's my goal.
I am scheduled to run my next marathon next April. So there you go. You can run your half the same day that I run my full.
I don't know. Maybe we'll see. April might be like really soon. I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous about it.
So you remind me, and I know we're supposed to be moving on to this. I apologize, but you remind me of Chad. When Chad first started running, he had been running a mile, like literally a mile to a mile and a half most on the treadmill, really slow, every day for 4 months. And that's when I got back into running. And I'm like, hey, I was looking at a 5K race. I'm like, because I needed that. And I'm like, do you want to run this 5K? He's like, well, how far is 5K? I'm like, 3.1. He's like, I can't run 3 miles. I'm like, you've been running 1 mile or a mile and a half like every day. Like he was doing 7 days a week, every day for 4 months. I'm like, you can absolutely run 3 miles. And then once Chad got past like the 2 mile mark, he's like, it just, they went nuts. So like you absolutely could, especially because you have the background with the straight training stuff. Like, yeah.
I can totally do it. Like I'm very in my head right now.
Set a goal for like October to get to 10K. And then like December to hit 10 miles. Because if you can run 10 miles, you can push for the other 3.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Well, it's just like when you run a marathon, like when you do marathon training, you don't run. The most you usually run is like 18 to 19 miles in your training. Because they're like, by the time you get there, you can run the other 6.
That's the thing.
Which for me, it's weird, but
it's true. Like you can do it. And like it's a weird thing. Like it's very mental, which is why I love it so much, because it's almost like meditative in a way. Like, and I need that, so I love it. I love it.
Anyway, moving on from this. I apologize. We went way over. I'm going to blame Dave for that.
It's Dave's fault.
So the last 2 weeks, I've thrown random questions off this question sheet, and I told you about it. I'm like, I got to do something different. You're like, oh, how about we just let people pick numbers? So we're going to do that instead. So if you are still with us and care at all about what we're doing, I've got 250. It's 250 quality conversation starters from, I don't know if you're aware of this website or not, Katelynn, but it's conversationstartersworld.com. Legit. If you pick a number, I will pick that number anywhere between 1 and 250, and that's the question that we'll dive into with Katelynn. I think the last 2 weeks I've kind of done like rapid fire. I think what we're going to do here is we're going to answer the question, and then like I want to try to like dive into the like we're going to make all of these questions deep.
I love it.
If that's going to work or not. So we'll see how good we'll see how good that vodka drink is. I'm going to pick a random one while we wait for people to get in here. What 3 words best describe you?
Oh boy. Okay. The first word that comes to mind is fiery.
Okay.
So I think that one.
Fiery.
Fiery. I would say goofy.
What'd you say?
Goofy.
Okay.
And genuine. Maybe. Or honest. Or loyal. I don't know.
So fiery, goofy, and genuine.
Yeah.
Okay. So now a different question for you, sort of similar, is what 3 words do you think others would use to describe you?
100% people would say that I'm fiery. Like
I think 100%. Fiery is, yeah, absolutely.
100% people would say that. I think other people would say that I'm blunt.
Blunt.
Which isn't wrong. Like I don't think they're wrong.
Yeah.
And loud.
Loud, I could say. I think so. I appreciate that you understand that. Like the goofy is, well, it depends on the person because some people, depending on the context they know you from, whatever, they might not get to see that.
It's true.
And genuine, that takes a while to get, I think.
Yeah, and genuine's hard because like I say that to try to encompass like the idea that like I'm a very like loyal person. Like if I consider you a close friend of mine, like I would do anything for you.
But you're
like
also fiery, so if you don't, you kill them in a second.
Yeah, boom, done. You're done.
If I consider you a close friend, I will take care of you. If I don't, it can happen any moment now. And the problem is you don't know which one you stand on. Like,
no.
Anyway, all right, no, Patricia, thank you. She says 25. Let's look at 25. 25, okay, 25, 25. Let's see here. Okay. Who is your favorite entertainer? This can be a comedian, a musician, an actor, etc.
Favorite entertainer. To be alive?
It doesn't specify, so.
Okay, so my favorite actress of all time, I love all her movies. I'd watch all of them forever. Audrey Hepburn.
Okay.
I love old movies. Like that is one of my favorite
cliche,
things
but whatever.
It is a little cliche, but like
that's because she's good. That's why she's cliche. It's because a lot of people love her.
The thing is, though, is like people be like, "Oh, like I love Audrey Hepburn," and you're like, "Oh, what movies have you seen?" And they're like, "Oh, Breakfast at Tiffany's." Like,
okay,
like
that's me. I'd be like, yeah, I know she's good because of the Deep Blue Something song.
No, Moon River.
But no. Breakfast at Tiffany's is a song by a band called Deep Blue Something.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Yeah. That's why it was funny. Sorry, it was funny to me because that just means that I really don't know Audrey Hepburn. That's what I was trying to portray there. If anyone didn't leave, and we're back. Go ahead, you're back on.
It's nuts because like that's such a cliche answer, but people don't go much further than that. Like you have to watch her actual like good movies. Like Breakfast at Tiffany's is a good movie, but it's not even one of the better ones. Like
what are the 3 that we should watch?
So if you want to get like a good picture of like truly what she can do, Funny Face, Charade are the 2 that I would recommend 100% of the time.
I've never heard of either one of those.
Okay, so Funny Face is probably my favorite one. It's adorable. Like it has Fred Astaire in it. She sings, she dances in it with Fred Astaire. It's a sweet movie if you ignore the fact that he's like 27 years older than her or something like that. It's really cute in that regard.
I mean, that happens in Hollywood too.
It happens. It's fine. And then Charade actually has Cary Grant, who is my old Hollywood crush because he's probably the handsomest man ever in the world, except for my husband. But I love Charade because it's like silly, but it's all about like murder and intrigue, and it's like this mystery story, but it's done in like that really like goofy kind of way. Nikki, I actually hate My Fair Lady because they dubbed over her voice. So she did all of the vocal training to sing for that movie, but then they had someone else come in and dubbed over all of her singing parts.
Because they didn't think she was good enough, huh? Interesting.
I don't know why, but that's why I hate it.
Someone else tell me number. You're picking a number between 1 and 250 for me to ask a random question with Katelynn here. We did 25. The first one I asked was 4, so you can't pick 4 or 25. I mean, we could do them again, but it's not gonna be very fun.
No, it would be weird if we kept going over and over it.
While they're going through there, I'm gonna just scroll randomly and stop right now. Oh, number 70 is what makes you nervous?
Oh my God, the DMV.
Not anxious, nervous. Not anxious, frustrated, or fiery. What makes you nervous?
Right now, I feel like it's this coming school year. Like, I feel like the things that make me nervous kind of change. Like, the constant one is usually just being late for stuff makes me nervous. But right now, like, specifically, I'm really nervous about this coming school year because I feel like, number one, we've all been through so much trauma the past year and a half, especially as educators trying to navigate so much of the difficulty that's been out there. But also we've kind of been like the face for it. So when you're irritated at like what's going on at school, even though like I don't get to make that decision, like I'm the person that gets that anger.
Sure.
So the nervousness right now is kind of like walking into
What
a
anger are you gonna
scenario.
get this year?
Right. Like, what is it? What is this year going to be? And so,
Yeah.
like, I'm very nervous about that. Like, I'm hopeful that I know I'm going to have kids back in my room. I know I'm going to have people, like, my kids are going to be there. I know I'm not going to have to teach online, which is phenomenal. And I know that people are happy about that. But there's also, like, so much other that's unknown and that's going on in the background that is really adding to this sense of like, okay, what are we doing? What are we getting into? So it should be good. I'm fingers crossed. I'm gonna stay optimistic.
Now you've been teaching. Is this going into year 7, 8? What are you at?
8.
Have you, outside of maybe your first year or two, are you typically nervous prior, like at this point in the year, getting ready to go in? I mean, I'm sure you're anxious, but there's a difference there. Like you're anxious to get started. That's like if you don't have that, then you probably shouldn't teach, right? Because that's excitement, anxiousness, right, to get in, right? I always say that about like if you don't get excited anxious like before a game, like good anxious, not bad anxious, right? Like, do you ever get nervous though? Like where you're like really worrying about anything, or
No.
are you pretty? I've always felt like you're pretty confident in your abilities. Again,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's anxiousness, there's excitement, stuff like that, but that's more so than necessarily nervousness.
Yeah, this year is very, very different.
Well, it's very, and I think that's to me is been the biggest thing is like we're going back to more normal, but it's not normal, and it's not even if it's back to what used to be normal, it's still not normal because for a year that's not what normal's been.
Yeah.
So like,
it's
do we even remember what that's supposed to be? Like most people don't remember how to be humans at this point, let alone. I mean, that's just reality. I don't know if you've heard any of the stories like people like starting to come back into restaurants and stuff. Like people forgot how to like interact with people, which is going to happen in there too, right? Like, so like that's interesting. That's an interesting part. Is it mainly what frustrations, arguments, complaints that are going to come in to me that I literally have no control over? Is that the biggest thing?
It's that piece of it. It's the idea that like we've got cases rising again. So like who knows what policies we have in place right now that are going to change. And it's a lot of that, but I feel like one thing that just needs to be mentioned is this notion that like, and I don't use this word lightly, so please don't think that I am, but we've truly been through a very traumatic experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of what I feel like this is right now is almost a form of like PTSD at this point.
Yeah.
Like I'm scared of what I'm walking into, because last year and the second half of the year before that were so hard and so overwhelming. And I was so like just at my very, very top of my stress level for such a long time, that going back into it, even if it's not going to be that same way, is still like scary. Like, am I walking back into this like crazy situation that I have to be in this like, survival mode again?
Well, and part of the PTSD, a lot of people always we typically think of PTSD with soldiers, but there's so many forms of that and so many different levels of that. But the PTSD inside in you is what's going to, it turns that trigger on even when it doesn't need to be on.
Yeah.
It's the same way when a veteran comes back from war and things that shouldn't trigger those feelings do in the slightest. It's going to be something where a very small, light, maybe even not even that direct or harsh of a complaint from a parent is going to trigger potentially that feeling, which is going to affect possibly the way you respond, but more likely the way you feel inside about it, which is crazy.
Well, the hard part about being a teacher right now is that so many of these policies that are getting put in place, like Illinois today just announced, as Alex is saying, that preschool through 12th grade schools have to wear masks. And that's just a policy that came straight from the governor, that our superintendent has already communicated that regardless of vaccination status, we have to wear masks. And one of the things that is giving me this sense of nervousness, this sense of fear right now, is this idea that like, this is not my policy. Like, I did not enact this policy, but I'm going to have to be the one that enforces it.
Well, and it's similar to you think about a gas station worker who has to enforce that and gets attacked.
Exactly.
Right. And you see videos of like, that kid had nothing to do with that. He's just doing his job so he doesn't get fired.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing. And unfortunately, that's always been there for teachers in a way. And I'm not making light of where it's at now. I'm just trying to like maybe make it feel less worse, is that there's always been stuff where you have to, you're like, hey, I have to do this. I don't necessarily agree with that. I have to do it because it's a mandate. I have to collect this info. I have to test this way. I have to whatever, right? And so it's such an enhanced version of that.
Yeah.
And with a whole lot, there's so much political stuff and split and division around it that like I don't know whether Alex was saying woo-woo because he's excited about the mask mandate or not. Like, I literally don't know, because like, you know what I mean? Like, some people are like, good, I want everyone to wear a mask. For me personally, I'm like, I hope our schools require everyone to wear a mask, because I know my daughter is going to do better knowing that everyone has a mask on. But my neighbor is probably going to be, well, no, I don't. Like, why are we doing this? Like, we shouldn't. Like, I thought we were getting through this. Like, we should be back. All the teachers are vaccinated. Like, we're vaccinated. So like, it's impossible to make a decision of that's going to please everyone. It's literally impossible.
It is,
like,
and it's difficult being the person that doesn't make the decision, but then has to enforce it.
Has to deal with it, yeah.
Because you're the person then that's going to get that feedback. And like, obviously, like, I know what I signed up for when I became a teacher. Like, that's how it goes. That's how it is. But it's definitely hard to do when you're the one that's taking those phone calls or those emails, and you're just consistently explaining, like, this is what I have to do. Like, I don't have a choice here.
I will tell you that I have several friends who are on school boards, and I don't want to trade seats with them. Because they literally cannot make a right decision. Like, they can't.
No.
Because it's so split, there is no solution that works. Nope. Because no matter which way you go, it's just it's crazy. All right, someone else needs to give me a number. Mark Heller, if you're still on here, throw me a number. I need a number between 1 and 250 so I could ask Katelynn a very random question. Deborah, great to see you. Thanks for chiming in. Alex, whoever's still here with us and hanging out, throw me a number between 1 and 250. We've answered question 4, 25, and 70. That was good. That was a good one. I said that I wanted to hopefully get deeper. That one was a good one. It wasn't a simple one. It was a good one, and we got in. All right, 23 from Miss Pistic.
Yeah, but we're getting into the Michael Jordan number now. Good choice, Carrie.
23. Have you ever saved an animal's life? How about a person's life? Dave and I answered this one. I got to share you a story about the time that I saved someone.
Okay. No, I've never.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate you bringing that back. That's David. That's Dave's favorite number, by the way.
That's Dave's. I thought Dave's favorite number was 3.
Nope. That apparently is Dave's favorite number.
Dave's favorite number is 3.
That's what Dave told us.
I'm sticking to my.
Dave told us that officially in the conversation starters question, so you don't get to override that. But have you ever saved an animal's life, or how about a person's life?
A human's life? No, not that I'm aware of.
If I can share a story.
Yes.
About 2 weeks ago, I got a 3 weeks ago, I got a message from Dave that said, "Hey, on August 4th, I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be there for Brain Break." And I went, my life is over. I don't know if I'm going to be able to overcome this tragedy, if I'm going to get through that. And then I'm like, I'll message Katelynn and see. And I said, "Hey, Dave's out on the 4th. Do you want to come be my better Dave?" And you were like, "Hell yeah." And I'm like, life saved.
Life saved. I did it.
Ever save a animal?
I mean,
let me be clear. Like rescue an animal, I don't consider that. I'm talking like you like gave CPR to a squirrel and saved his life or something like that.
Yes, I've done that. I've given CPR to a chipmunk.
Seriously?
No.
Oh, I didn't know. I would.
No.
Ever saved an animal's life?
No. We rescued our cat, but you said that didn't count, so no.
But I mean, it does. Just I wanted something else. So, yeah, I told a story about when we had a small shark washed up on shore, and Amy and I revived it back to life, and then I got to put it back out in the ocean, which is awesome because I love sharks. That was super cool.
That is really cool.
It was super. Here's the best part about that story. I don't think I shared it last time. So this was like early on, like a couple of years after Amy and I got married, and we weren't in a position where we were doing vacations or anything. And my dad called me. He's like, "Hey," he's like, "You seriously not come down to the beach with us?" Because like my dad he invites us to go down, like he takes care of the house, like it's not, but we whatever. And I'm like, "No, we just can't, afford." He goes, "What if I flew you down? I've got all these miles saved up. It won't cost me a dime. You don't have to feel bad about it. And come down." I'm like, "Well, I'm not saying no to that." So we flew down to my dad's points, right? We were supposed to fly home on like, or like they were saying for like 2 weeks. We were supposed to fly home on Friday because I had an event on Saturday night that I had to get home to. We go to the airport on that Friday, and my dad, like jokingly after dropping us off, goes, "Well, give me a call when your flight gets canceled." And like, not even kidding. We walk into the Myrtle Beach airport, and I walk in, and this guy there going, "Guys flying through DC?" And we're like, "Yeah." He goes, to Cleveland? We're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Flight's been canceled. Come with me." And I'm like, "No." And so we're sitting there talking to him, and we figured out that we're not going to make it home in time for me to get to my event. So I call the guy that was working for me at the time and tell him, "Hey, either you're stepping up and running, da-da-da." And I'm like, "Hey, well, since I'm not going to make him, like, what would it take to just fly us home Sunday instead? Like, get us another day at the beach?" And she's like, "Oh, we can do that, no problem. And since you have to stay overnight, you're going to get a free flight voucher for later on." I'm like, "Okay, great." So I call my dad. I'm like, "You're never going to believe this." He goes, "Your flight got canceled." I'm like, "Yeah, come back and get us." It was Saturday when the shark thing happened.
Oh my God.
So we weren't even supposed to be there. Best part was then we get the free ticket voucher, which we used to fly to a wedding in Chicago. So it's like
used it to come to the best place ever.
It's a win-win-win right there. Yeah. So if my dad, the moral of the story is if Dave Gargas ever calls you and offers to use his points to fly you down to Myrtle Beach, do it because you'll most likely save a shark.
Okay. Well, I will be expecting a call from Dave Gargas.
Yes. Anyway, how about another number? That was
I like your story. I've never done anything that cool. I'm not that cool of a person.
So that was super cool because that was a point before I've never been a big reader, and like when we go to the beach, like I was old enough where I shouldn't have been in this point in my life. I was still in a point where I'm like, I didn't like just sitting on the beach. Like, because I used to like do stuff. I used to be always down with my cousins. So like when I was at the beach, I'm like, we were boogie boarding, we were digging, we were whatever. And we're just sitting there like everyone's just we're like at the water edge. I'm like, well, this is boring. So I'm just like staring at the water and like watching the waves hit, and I see like the sand like looks weird, and it's this shark.
Oh my God, that's nuts.
And then my wife, being the biology person she is, she's like, "Oh, like it's not moving." So we had this little hole dug for my nephew who wasn't in it when we put the shark in it, filled with water. So we put it in and moved it because they need water moving over their gills that's how they breathe and stuff. So we brought it back to life, and everyone passing by, so it was fun there. And then I walked it out about waist deep and let it go, and
That's
it was
nuts.
super cool. Anyway,
You're way cooler than me, Jeff.
Let one out of a cage. What did you let out of a cage? What did I miss?
I don't know. I think she's saying let an animal out of a cage because it counts as saving it.
Oh, okay. I'll give her that. My story about the saving a person should be better because when I was like 13, 14, I dove in and saved a little girl in a pool.
Oh my God.
I flipped off a raft in my parents' pool when I dove in and pulled her out. So.
Oh my God.
I don't know that she might have been okay.
Cool.
I don't know, but I freaked out and dove in. So
you saved her. In your mind, you saved her, and that's what matters.
I saved her. I know when she graduated from high school and we went to her graduation party, she thanked me for it, told me about it. I'm like, oh, so apparently I did save you. All right.
So it's been confirmed since.
It was a long time. At that point, I didn't even remember the story. That was the reminder of the story is when it was like her and her mom telling me about it and stuff. But anyway.
Dang.
All right, I need more numbers. If no one's gonna give me numbers, I'm gonna look for one here and then I'll take it. I'm just gonna scroll again. I'm just flinging it like a wheel.
Give us some numbers, folks. We need them.
Okay. This is a good one. Number 74 is who would be the worst person to be stuck in an elevator with? How about the best? Now, I can remember if it was Katie or Dave that got this one before, but they took the angle of the best type of person. I want the actual person, not someone who has a great conversation skills. I want Dave Schmittou or Dr. Dre or something, whatever.
Okay,
who would be the worst person to get stuck in an elevator with?
Oh my God.
And we'll say that you're potentially going to be stuck in there for several hours.
The worst person to be stuck in an elevator with would be Jeff Gargas.
Wow.
Just kidding. I'm totally joking, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity. I don't even know the worst person to be stuck in an elevator with. I don't really.
Gilbert Godfrey. Just because after about 5 minutes, that voice would just kill you.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, there are some people that I very strongly dislike. Mitch McConnell. That's my answer. That's my answer. Sorry, it literally just popped into my head. That's my answer.
Honestly, name any of the top 10 from either party, and I'd be yeah, there's my top 20 right there.
That's my answer.
I don't want to call any of these people in there. Interesting. Who'd be the best? And best could be best or coolest. I don't know if it'd be the coolest person to be caught in or the best because we'd have a good time with it wouldn't be a horrible experience anymore because we'd have a good time.
Dave freaking Schmittou, always.
Really?
Yeah, because he's
I feel
I
feel like Dave would panic and it would get really bad. I just have this feeling that he would panic and he'd be freaking out. And you'd be
he might.
You'd be what the heck? Who is this guy? He's not this is not the Dave I know.
I'd be hold on, let me get you a drink and let's calm down.
I think for me in my head right now, and I don't know why, but my head right now, I'd want to be with. I think the coolest, the best person to be trapped in there would be Jim Gaffigan.
Okay.
And I'd be hey, look, we're here. Can you just do your routines? And I just thought he'd be all right, here's 3 hours of elevator jokes. And I'd be oh, let's do this, dude. Let's talk McDonald's for 4 hours because, I don't know. I don't know why. I think it's because I saw a couple clips of Jim Gaffigan earlier, and I'm always been a fan. But I think that's where I would go with that.
I think so my answer is going to be Miguel Cardona, the United States Secretary of Education, because I think if I had his ear in an elevator for an extended period of time, I could probably convince him to give me a job writing educational policy for him.
Okay, I get that one. All right, so now you have to limit to your members of the Teach Better team. So, you already said Dave. Is that the – he wants both. Who's the worst one on the team that gets stuck?
Oh, okay. Well, the best one is obviously Dave Schmittou, because if you give Dave and I we would just go live on our phone.
The worst one by far would be Chad, only because Chad gets hangry.
Oh,
so he was stuck in a while, Chad eats a really early dinner. He's 80. He eats 4. And so depending on when you get in there, Chad can be really hungry.
Yeah.
And then he's gonna get,
that would be hard. That would be really difficult.
I don't know. I think Chad would be the.
Yeah, because I feel like Chad would also panic. And like Chad's panic would
So
not
here's
be
the funny
like
part. There was a time where Chad and I, we thought we were like in trouble in the elevator. I'm the one who panicked. We were in an elevator in Detroit. It was really early on. It was really early on in the business, and so this was like the BR before Ray days, and it was actually when it was just Chad and I, and we're in this elevator, and we didn't realize something with like it was one of those fancy elevators where like it goes to certain floors, but if you swipe a certain key, it goes to other floors or whatever. And there was some rule like after a certain time, it skips the first like 25 floors. Like it was like the
Express.
Yeah, it's like one of the fastest elevators in the country. It's in Detroit. It's in the Ford. I don't know if it's a Ford hotel or whatever. It's on top of the Ford, like the Ford Chrysler Museum. Anyway, and so we're like on the ground floor, and it just like we're like hitting like 8 or something, and it just shoots us to 23, and like there's no buttons for like 20 to 23, and like I'm like, what's going on? Like I'm freaking out. And it was because like we didn't swipe our key, so it didn't take us to the room floors. It took us up to a restaurant floor or something. And like I had a moment where, luckily it was really fast. It was only a short moment, but I freaked out. So Chad stayed calm. So I actually think he
Okay, well then my answer is you.
Okay, yeah, I'm probably the one. I'm probably the worst. Yeah.
Cause like the panicking thing is what would get me. Like I don't, cause then I'd be like, oh my God, stop it. Like, cause
What would it cause you to panic too?
Yes, and like that would be like the downfall.
So I'm weird though. Like I'm the opposite. If I was in there and you panicked first, my mind flips to being calm to calm you down, which is weird because you would think we both just freak out. But
yeah, no. If you freaked out, I'd freak out, and then I'd be like, "Oh my God, I can't fix it."
Your best is you're saying Dave Schmittou.
Yeah, because we could Dave and I could talk about anything for an extended period of time.
I think the best for me would be Joshua Stanford because that dude is always calm. So like
oh
I feel like he'd calm me down. Because even when Josh is mad, I don't know if you've ever spoken to Joshua Stanford when he's fired up, but it's exactly what you think it is. It's like this. He's fired up right now. I'm so freaking fired up right now.
His voice.
I'm gonna fight someone.
Amazing. His voice. Joshua Stanford, if you are listening to this, you have an incredible voice. Could you just read bedtime stories on a podcast for the Teach Better Podcast Network so that I can listen to them? Please.
Bedtime stories with Josh. Alex, I'm pretty sure, Alex, if I had to pick an ambassador, I'm pretty sure I'd pick you because that's my exact thoughts, that he'd find like a stick of gum and somehow get us out there.
Alex would have us out in 30 seconds. I don't even doubt it. We'd be out of there. It'd be no problem. He'd be like, and also I have some snacks here for you.
And they'd be pretzels.
Right.
All right. I'm flipping through again. Oh, hold on. I went to the stupid I'm just finding one.
You can do it.
Well, because it took me in the weird. There's one that I wanted to get. I can't because I wanted to get you going before we ran out of time.
Oh yeah.
Where is it at? Let's see. Well, first off, let's talk real quick. While I'm looking for that, talk to me about Daily Drop-In, which is tomorrow. You're on with Ray.
Yeah,
with Ray.
Hello,
hi, buddy. He's down here.
Tomorrow morning, Ray and I are going to be on for the Daily Drop-In. I am super excited about waking up ultra early in the morning and going on camera with all of you. We are going to have a fabulous time, as Ray and I always do.
This guy?
What's up? He wants to be on. He is fired up. So we're going to have our Daily Drop-In tomorrow. It's going to be pretty fabulous. You should definitely be there to hang out with Ray and I and, go through some of the awesome things the team is doing.
My dog doesn't bark, by the way, except for this type of stuff.
Your dog is barking today. Sorry, he really wanted to.
You were doing what you're supposed to do, and I just interrupted you again. So you're live tomorrow.
No, it's okay.
7 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
6 a.m.
6 a.m. So. Yeah. 6 a.m. real time. So Ray and I will be live at 6 a.m. If I have makeup on, I'll be surprised.
We'll celebrate if you do.
I won't.
So if you don't know, Daily Drop-In every morning, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. Katelynn's time. Hour of a bunch of stuff. So I love we're doing like the good news stories, and not only just sharing the good news, but also discussing how you can then take that to your students and stuff as well. We're doing is tomorrow. I think tomorrow she's like there's a new segment coming, or that we haven't done before. I think because we've done the stories, we've done the question bank. We do a challenge on Mondays. Anyway, it's exciting. And then every day it goes up into on Teach Better Talk podcast. And it's super exciting. So you can listen to it on the podcast if you want the audio version as well. So that's fun.
It is. It's going to be a good morning, everyone. You should be there.
Also tomorrow's the last day to win our August giveaway, which is going on right now. That is, where's that at? I have that info here. So the giveaway ends tomorrow. It's on Twitter. It's a book bundle with stickers and magnets. Magnets. I don't know who has magnets. That's awesome. But it's a Teach Better book with a sticker. It's the Teachers Deserve It book with a sticker. It's a Bold Humility book, which is Dave Schmidt's, and then an Aspire sticker from Josh as well as Aspire podcast. I don't see magnet on our list, but maybe there's magnet in there too. All you got to do to enter is follow at Teach Better Team on Twitter. We did a tweet with the giveaway with the post on there. You just have to comment "pick me," which is we were talking beforehand. It's been really fun to see on my phone all the notifications of "pick me's" coming, which is a good time. And lastly, I do want to touch on. We've been talking about Dave a lot. August 16th, Dave is running a 4 hours of Dave Schmidt. That's like being trapped in an elevator, by the way.
It is
kind of a similar scenario, but you won't be trapped in an elevator. You'll just be on a webinar with Dave. 4 hours of standards-based grading training with Dave.
Yes.
That's exciting. So
it is exciting. If you've been thinking about it at all, you should be there because Dave truly will meet you where you're at and help you find ways of really just bringing standards-based grading into your classroom, to your school, into your district in such realistic and achievable ways. Like you should be there.
And if you go to teachbetter.com/SBG summer webinar, you can check that out and register for that. I'm going to throw it in the comment here so you guys have it in the comments. And I'll bring that up right there. Teachbetter.com/SBG summer webinar. 4 hours of Dave Schmidt. You can't really beat that unless it was 4 hours. Katelynn Giordano. We have 3 minutes left, Katelynn. I'm going to throw one last question at you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Number 43 is, what is the most disgusting habit some people have? Okay. I'm looking towards your fiery/blunt side here.
Okay.
Now, by some people, I mean like anybody could have. We're not talking about a specific person here.
I know.
Although you might have a specific person in mind.
No, I don't. But this is just a general thing, and it definitely has to do with the fact that I was at the DMV today. So, as all of you know, I was at the DMV today for like 3 hours. Here's the thing that really, really bothers me. And I don't know if it's a habit so much as just a thing that happens, but like, it's very simple to like prepare yourself for something like going to the DMV to renew your driver's license or, you know,
like having an ID of some sort or
correct.
Renewal, yes.
Or like just generally like preparing yourself for like any given scenario. Like if you're in line at the airport, like, you know what you need. And if you don't know what you need, there are so many ways to find out. Best way to find out is google.com. You can totally go on Google and you can just like go in there and find out exactly what you need to bring. The DMV actually, specifically when you're going into like renew a driver's license or get a real ID or whatever, will walk you through all the things that you can bring and like all the different types of things that you might be able to use for like, say, your social security number, your address. And you can literally get them all ready before you go.
So I'm guessing you got in line and had to wait because someone didn't have anything.
No, that's correct. And so here's the deal. And this is something that like legitimately happens to me all the time. And it's probably because I notice that it's happening, like, because it bothers me so much that I pay attention to it. Because it's not just the DMV and it's not just today. It's just at the forefront of my mind because I was at the DMV today. But the idea that like you could very easily, like, if you're returning something at a store, you know you're going to need proof of purchase. So like have the email pulled up or the receipt ready. Like be ready to do that. Like, it's not like,
Yeah,
it's
like
one
that
of
one's particularly like it's one thing if you don't have the receipt, you can't find it because then you're not. But when they're like, oh, do you have your receipt? Like, oh yeah, I do. It's in my purse that has 3,000 things in it. I gotta dig to the bottom. I can't find
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
But y'all, this is the thing. Like, it is so easy to prepare yourself for any of these scenarios. It is so easy to like be ready and to know, like, even if you don't have your receipt, you can walk up and be like, I need to return this, but I don't have my receipt. I'm willing to take store credit. Like, and understand that that is a thing that might happen. Or like when you go to the DMV and you know you're going to need like proof of residence and you know you're going to need like a social security number, you should probably have those things ready and not like a big bag of stuff that you're rifling through while people are waiting behind you.
So 2 things before you explode. One is this is a classic case of common sense is not common to everyone. And 2, I said disgusting. You went with infuriating.
Yeah, sorry.
Just to be clear. I agree with you. That drives me nuts. One that gets me, and like I've done it once or twice, and I get mad at myself, is like if you're in line at the grocery store or wherever, and like it's like, hey, it's gonna be $58.72. You're like, oh yeah, let me get my money. Like, and like you didn't like even know like where your wallet was, and I don't know why. It's weird to me. I'm like, I normally have my card ready, like I'm ready to roll. I'm like, I got my loyalty app up, and like it's weird because it's like oh, so that took an extra 30 seconds. But and more over time, well, I'm gonna go on this anyway. More importantly, worse than that, and I hope this doesn't offend anybody, but people who still write checks. Like,
stop it.
1996 call. They want their technology back. Like, I don't even have to I just move my phone sort of near the thing and it pays. Like, or my car, or my watch, or my car. Even the card I can just swipe, go across. But like, I don't know, the check thing for me. It's
yeah, no, I was watching a woman today at the DMV open envelopes that she had not yet opened to find a utility bill. She was literally going through her mail and opening envelopes. And I was like,
you can do that in a car before you go in or in line.
Or like while we're in line, get it out. Like,
all right, we're going to end this because I feel like I'm trapped in an elevator with the fiery side of Katelynn right now, and I don't feel safe.
You shouldn't.
Carrie, you would write checks. Well, no, that's different. Rent's different because you probably have to, but like in no scenario do you have to write a check at
I
the
actually
grocery
PayPal.
store.
I PayPal my rent now, which is fabulous.
But some people might not, like, depending on who you rent from, they may not let you, right? But like,
valid.
Like, and I'm sure that if you go to if this doesn't count if you go to a grocery store that like only accepts checks, because I know like up until like a couple of years ago, Mark's, I don't know if you guys have Mark's or not, we have like a Mark's discount store that they only accepted cash or check. Totally get it. When you're at a Target, swipe your card or pay cash. Or actually, at this point, I'm like, if you're paying cash, like get out of my way. Like go over to that line. Like don't count your bills out. Then you got to know how to count money, which you probably don't. And I just.
Well, and then you were expecting the cashier to make change, which they probably
Nikki's
can't
makes
do.
sense, but Nikki, I don't care because I don't live there, so it's all good.
Yeah, you're fine.
In
Nikki.
bowling
You're
alleys,
cool.
like I think it's perfectly fine for bowling alleys to still accept checks because bowling alleys are still like in 1975 anyway, so it's all good. And that's like one of the most amazing things about bowling alleys. So like, I'm all for it.
It's like going
I'm really
back
talking about if you're in Meijer in front of me, or if you're at Target in front of me, and you write a check, there's a good chance I'm judging you.
Right. Like, why are you writing a check at a store? Do you have a credit card or a debit card or cash?
I don't know. I guess. I don't know. What, at this point, I'm like, why aren't you just using crypto? Like.
Yeah. No, I agree. Let's do that. And if you go to the DMV and you know what you need, bring your documents and not in the envelope sealed.
Does the DMV take credit yet? So, like they didn't
do.
for a long time either. I can't remember. They do now, huh?
They do, but they charge you $1.
Because you thought that you had to have exact change.
Yeah, they charge you $1 for using it at least here in Illinois.
Why don't they just increase the price of this? Because it doesn't feel as petty.
It's fine. I was like, whatever, I don't care. Get me
I've always
out of
enjoyed
here.
that. It used to be, they don't see it much. I know we're way over time. I apologize. But it used to be like bars would do that. Like, oh, you can pay with a card, but you have to spend at least $10. I'm like, okay, well, you just lost my $5. Then see you later. Like,
Right.
why would you
Like
do
that's
that?
annoying. Just make
Like,
it more expensive.
Anyway, okay. We're 4.5 minutes past, so I gave you back what we were not supposed to talk about. Running, we talked about this instead. I don't know that was a positive thing or not, but that's what happened. I appreciate you being on. Make sure you get over to Twitter and get into the August giveaway that ends tomorrow. Make sure you meet Katelynn and Ray tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, 6 a.m. Central Time. Tomorrow night is also our Teach Better Chat at 8 p.m. I almost said Master Chat, but it's Teach Better Chat. And teachbetter.com/SBG summer webinar to join Dave Schmitto on August 16th for 4 hours of SBG training, which, by the way, that comes with replay, lifetime access to the replay as well. So I think that's it. All right. Appreciate y'all. Have an awesome rest of your week. And as always, if you need anything at all, please reach out to us and let us know. Katelynn, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you having me on, Jeff.
We'll see you.